Hello, folks. Welcome to the Canal Channel Jose. Today we got a topic about buying and selling a car in California. And for some people, or a lot of people that come over to California and they like a car because you want a California car, well, there's a couple things that you gotta know before you buy a car. Because not you don't just go up to a owner and you ask him, "Hey, Luis, I want to buy your car," and then Luis agrees to sell the car. But there's a couple things that you gotta watch out when you buy a car, because California, before they release a title, for example, if Luis has the car and he sells a car to me, and before I actually get the title, there's a couple things that California looks over before that car is actually fully transferred from his name to my name and I can get a title. So there's two types of buying a car. There's a normal operational and there's non-operational status. So what that means is the normal operational, the car has the tags are up to date and they don't expire until a couple months. But when you buy a car that way, if California or Luis hasn't done a smog, we buy the car from him and I get the money, I come up to him, I give him the money, he gives me the paperwork of the car. He gives me the keys. Now I take this paperwork to the DMV in California and I tell him, hey, I just bought this car. I want to transfer it. I got to pay the dues. Everything that he needed to sign and do fill out is filled out because he gave me the old title under his name. So now I filled everything out. I bring it to California DMV and I give him this. And they're going to tell me, well, you need to do a small test. So okay, so I go to any small certified shop, and then they tell me that the car doesn't pass any smog because it needs some repairs. Should have asked Luis if there was any issues with the car, but I didn't. I just wanted a car. So now I'm stuck with California trying to give me my title because the car won't pass smog. Luis has nothing to do with the car anymore. He got his money. So now what I have to do is invest more money in repairs. And if the car doesn't pass smog, guess what? It takes more money. So I gotta keep adding money trying to make the car pass smog now because California won't release the title to me until that car passes smog. So that's why you can get into a headache buying a car in California. And for some people like to buy some older cars because newer cars are getting too expensive. So you got to make sure that that car, before you buy it from the person that you're actually talking to, you want to make sure that that car is smog before it's sold to you. So we go, so he has a title. We go to the smog shop. He does the smog because he's under his name. So then the car passes smog. Then I can get the title because the requirements from California is that the car has to pass smog with that if it's sold to another person. If Luis had smogged within the 90 days, then it's okay because I don't have to smog it because he has a previous smog that I can use for California, and they can say, okay, you can get the title now. But if he has a smog it and then we never talk about smogging and that car never passes smog, then I'm stuck with a car with no title, and now I have to spend more money after I pay the car to him, and now I have to perform repairs. And if you're planning on taking it overseas or take it to another state, you cannot take it to any other state because you don't have any title, and that car is going to be like frozen. California won't release you the title until you get the smog done. So that's when it gets tricky. So if you know that, and then another scenario is that Luis has the car right now. So I come out to Luis and I say, well, I want to buy the car. And then we agree on buying the car. But then I get smart. Don't get smart. You just want to educate yourself. What you want to do is you want to find out if that car has any issues. Will it pass smog? Because California is going to require you a smog test. So he says, yes, it needs a smog. So what I do before we agree on selling the car, what we go to the DMV or we go to any station that is approved to transfer or sell a car, which is a third party. So he puts the car on non-operational status. What that means, that car is being taken out of the road in the system. the car drives fine, but the car can no longer drive on the street because it's not legal. So now Luis gives me the paperwork, title filled out. Now I take this to the DMV and I give him this because the car is in non-operational status. It doesn't require a smog. So that's a way around on trying to buy a car when you want to get a title and you want to transfer it to another state or take it to another country. You get the title first, and that's the most important thing because that car you can prove that California is telling anybody else that that car belongs to you and it's not stolen. So now I can take the car with that title. I have to tow it on a trailer, but I have the title of the car. So now I can take it to even Mexico, North Dakota, South Dakota, any state that doesn't require any smog. But as long as I have the title, I can transfer it to that state, and now is the car is mine. So, for example, you've been to I talk so much, so now we're gonna give a. Luis has been in a couple states. So you've been to Nevada.
I've been in Nevada. For the most part, we grew up down here, but I've been up in Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa. So in those states, they don't require smog tests. They don't even know what it is. You show up and like, hey, where do I smog my vehicle? Because you just showed up to those states, and they'll be like, what are you talking about? So you're at that point, you're like, you get kind of like panicky because you grew up that knowing that you gotta smog your vehicle, and up there you don't. So it's easy. So you just show up, go pay your dues, you get a new title, tags, you're done.
So in California, it's different. We are always panicking because of smog, and if it doesn't pass smog, we get pulled over because we don't have tags, and then we get a fine, and then we're forced. We are pushed to get that car smog, and we are always putting money into that engine to keep it just to pass smog. And in other states, is not. You don't even have to have catalytic converters because they don't require that. But in California, you have to have all the emission control system installed for it to pass smog. And that's when it gets tricky because if one sensor is not passing or is just misreading something in California, it's really hard to pass smog. So that's why cars can be a problem when you're buying them with the smog. So that's why you have to do you gotta get educate yourself on if you want to buy a car that has problems, then you put it on non-operational first with the previous owner. He drops it to non-operational. He transfers to you. Now California is going to release the title to you for the new buyer. But if you don't do that and you just get that you just buy it and sell and here's the title and everything, you go to the DMV and they don't where's the smog because the car is still legal to drive on the road. And that's when it gets tricky because people will think, well, if you put it in non-op, they wouldn't give you a title. No, what they're saying is that that car is going to be stored or that car doesn't cannot be on the road, and that's when they give you the title because okay, that car is not going to be on the road. Here's the title, and you deal with it. But if it's going to be on the road, they want to make sure that that car is drivable and it meets the standards on the emission control for California, so that way they can allow you to keep on driving it. But if you're having issues with it, you put it on non-op. So that's the difference between operational status and non-operational status that can get you in trouble if you don't play it right. And then it's just gonna get deep in your pockets trying to get a car.
And then once you take it to get smog and it gets record on that vehicle's VIN number, it's there. So it's nowhere you can't just say, oh, I'll fix it in there. Nope. They want you to, they know what's wrong with it. So now you can't like, oh, I'll just chop this and make it work. And nope, it's already registered on the system. So
That's very true. Yeah, because they keep it's like history
yep.
is recorded, so they know when a car is like Carfax. So if the car has been in an accident, they know. So California, they know is that the car didn't pass smog. So like you say, it stays on record. That's why if it fails one time, then it's gonna be harder to you for transferring. So for example, in your truck, you pay how much on plates?
And plates, it's like 120ish, something like that. It's
So
not that expensive because I got Minnesota tags, and I don't require smog.
So you're driving a 2017?
2016 GMC Sierra.
2016. So for a lot of people in California, we'll be paying about $400 to $500 maybe. And I don't drive a truck, but in my Tercel, I drive a 93 Toyota Tercel. In that little car, I pay about $150 a year just on plates. And so for some other people that I know, they pay $400 up close to $1,000. So depends on it's because the truck you can use it for as a business. You can move stuff, you can make it a business. That's why California charges so much. So that's another topic too. They transfer commercial plates. That's what they call it in California. So we're going to talk about that in another video. But for today, we wanted to expose a little bit of info that Luis knows about, because I've been in California most of my time. So I don't know about North Dakota, Minnesota, especially right now.
Minnesota, Iowa, and South Dakota. So those areas as of right now. Probably Montana, up north. They don't know what the smog test.
Yeah, so that's more relaxed states. But California, like they say, is a golden state, because it's all about money. So we wanted to expose this info about buying a car, operational, non-operational, and what it can get tricky for some of the people that come from out of the state and they don't know about California. So we wanted to expose, educate yourself, get to know this info, because if you come over to California like me, going to another state trying to buy a car, I don't know the regulations. So that's why we expose some of this info, so that way you understand a little bit of this whole spider web of California about emissions and trying to release a car from a buyer to a seller, or from a seller to a buyer. So with that said, hopefully this video was helpful. And for our folks who are watching our video and haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. If you like a video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here en el canal El Chano Jose.